We've just had Mental Health Awareness Week and we're coming towards the end of Mental Health Awareness Month. Now, as a psychiatrist, it's probably not a revelation that mental health awareness is something I feel quite strongly about, but I'm a little bit worried that we might be starting to become too aware, and with the wrong interpretations, these awareness campaigns might be starting to have side effects. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Elliot. I'm a doctor in the UK. I specialise in psychiatry, and on my channel I do educational videos, reaction videos, that sort of thing about medicine, mental health and mental illness. Disclaimer at the top, I think mental health awareness campaigns had and still have good intentions. But I want to use this video to talk about two main points. One, mental health and mental illness are two different things. And two, awareness doesn't equal change, no matter what new hashtag you want to put with it. Let's start with a physical health analogy because I actually think they're really useful, especially as we're still trying to seek parity in the way that we think of mental health and physical health as interlinked. It's good to think of the two hand in hand. If we think of promoting good physical health, we think of good diet, exercise, not smoking, watching what you drink. But at no point do we start equating those things with being illnesses in and of themselves. We acknowledge that poor physical health, among lots of other things, can increase the risk of developing physical illnesses like diabetes, cancer, heart failure. But we acknowledge that having a rubbish diet and diabetes are not the same thing. Then there's mental health. Now, as I said, I think awareness campaigns are really good. Just the notion of talking about day-to-day emotions has been something very stigmatized throughout the years, still is. Some people equating it with a sign of weakness or a lack of resilience. And the idea of trying to promote vocalizing and talking about the way that you feel, building support networks, using other people to help you manage these emotions is a really, really good thing. It helps normalize these emotions, and quite frankly, we'll all need some help managing a period of distress at some point in our life. But it's important to remember that the healthy mind experiences a huge range of emotions. Some of those are not very nice. Intense amounts of worry, intense amounts of sadness, intense amounts of anger, but they can be quite normal, a normal, albeit unpleasant part of the human experience. And as I said, we'll all need some help at some point in managing a period like this, and that's where awareness campaigns can be good. But experiencing mental distress is not the same as having a mental illness. And this is where I'm worried we might be starting to become too aware, medicalizing and pathologizing these normal, albeit distressing and extreme emotions. And is it leading to a change in vocabulary and almost a trend of self-diagnosis? Is feeling anxious equated with having an anxiety disorder? Is feeling intense sadness equated as being depressed? Being very particular, being a bit OCD? Describing people that interact a little bit differently to you in social situations as being a bit on the spectrum? Rapidly changing moods must equal bipolar disorder. Now, it's really important that I get across that I don't want to minimize or come across as minimizing periods of psychological distress, because it can be awful. But what this is more of an acknowledgement that mental illness can be much more severe than most people realize, and that mental health awareness campaigns scratch the surface at the very, very mild end. So I'm going to ask you, while we've got all these awareness campaigns for mental health, where are the campaigns with the same amount of publicity for mental illness? Where's the campaigns for schizophrenia? We have them for physical diseases, we have them for diabetes, we have them for all sorts of types of cancer. Why don't we have them for schizophrenia? Oh, because we've already got mental health awareness. Mental health and mental illness are two different things. And there it is. The answer is not to stop these campaigns, but it is to change the emphasis. Mental health awareness needs to be about normalizing the experience of distressing, albeit normal human emotions, and enable support but without over-medicalizing it. Now, a good start to this would be stopping the flippant use of medicalized terms to describe normal emotions. Sadness and depression are not the same thing. Worry, we need to reserve these for proper awareness campaigns for mental illnesses, particularly for those mental illnesses that are the most stigmatized. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking schizophrenia and borderline personality disorder. However, I do appreciate that these mental health awareness campaigns have probably enabled people to start talking about their mental health and seek support for actual mental illnesses, whereas they may not have done so before. And that's where I think they're a good thing. We just need to change the emphasis. Then that brings us on to the next issue we've encountered, which is nobody's fault except for our beloved government. So the number of referrals and the demand for support has gone up. Has the supply and resources gone up? I think not. What we need is more money, and we need more focus on retention of mental health practitioners of all different disciplines to also allow for continuity of care for those people that are in the system. But that's where this talk about prevention being better than cure is empty rhetoric until the powers that be start coughing up the money to actually fund it.
So the video mentioned a lot of things, but before I ask you both for your thoughts, there are a lot of mentions of disorders everywhere, OCD, the rest of them, and everything. And I hear that a lot, and especially amongst children. right? And trying to tie it into the need for mental health, because obviously the point of the video was that he's raising awareness of Mental Health Awareness Week or something like that, right? Do you think that it's because of this, they are pushing a lot of mental health disorders in our faces per se, that people have kind of thought, we need something to combat it, and that is by raising awareness of mental health. So mental health is probably like a weapon that people are trying to use to fight against having mental health disorders. And share your thoughts on the video as well from what you got.
So what's your question?
So my question is, is it because of this increase in the popularity of mental health disorders that people are trying to find more needs or trying to find more reasons to maintain mental health?
Because I was trying to think of the question. This question sounds right in itself. Obviously, if there's an increased need, if there's an increased awareness, of a disorder, there will also be an increased push to prevent the disorder. If there's a rise in diabetes, obviously there will be an associated rise in curbing sugar campaign. You get what I'm saying? So the fact that there's a rise in mental disorder, a rise in the awareness of mental disorders leading to a rise in the mental awareness campaign, I think is the right response. I'm thinking from his video, he's saying there's not enough campaigns on the actual disorders themselves. So it's not like there's an increase in the disorder. He's saying there's an increase in the awareness campaign, but it is not due to an increase in the disorders. And no one is talking about the disorders. They're just talking about the awareness in itself. And I see it two ways, because I think it depends on how you're receiving the message. You can see it as yes, we talk about physical illness, we talk about cancer, we talk about asthma, we talk about HIV and stuff, but it's also very helpful, and I think more encouraged that we should focus more on the prevention. I'm not saying we should not focus on the cure, but we should focus more on the prevention. So I think from that aspect, I disagree with him in the sense that, there needs to be more mental disorder campaign. There should be. I'm not saying there shouldn't be mental disorder campaigns around awareness about mental disorders. There should be, but the focus should be not getting the disorder in the first place, which, although I just disagree with him, I agree with him in this next point. There is a difference between having a symptom of an ailment and actually being that ill, actually having the sickness. For instance, I can be out of breath. That doesn't mean I have asthma. So just because I'm out of breath doesn't mean you should prescribe me with asthma medication. It might just be that in situation. And sometimes there's remedies for instantaneous feelings of those moments of stress. Yes. So sometimes you might feel, to his point, you might feel sad. That doesn't mean you're actually depressed. There's actual remedies to feeling sad, and you can feel happy again, but that doesn't mean you should go get medicated and go to the hospital and start getting put on depressants. So I agree with him from that perspective. We need to, with the drive for mental health campaign, we need to stop over sensationalizing mental awareness and making it a new fad. Now everybody's mentally ill just because we're mentally aware. You get that? We are aware that, we need to take care of our mental health. The slightest thing that happens to your mental health, I have a mental illness. Do you get what I'm saying? So we need to curb that mindset. Just understand that it takes a lot for you to be actually sick with something. Like it has to be frequent reoccurrence of that activity and beyond a controllable standard. You get what I'm saying? Like sometimes your blood sugar just spikes. It's normal. Maybe you had too much sugary things that day. You had whatever reason it spiked. That doesn't mean you should start taking insulin and be on diabetes. For you to be diabetic, it has to be repeated reoccurrence of that activity. So people need to be aware of that, similarly to their mental health as well.
Yeah, from my perspective, I just feel he's relating it to the fact that in this mental health awareness, we are oversimplifying mental health disorders.
Okay.
So it's just like how people go to medical school and study particular disorders for loads of years. But at work, whenever we have these mental health awareness programs, they use 30 minutes with 10 slides to explain these disorders. And they simplify it in such a way that everything that is normal for us, that is normal, it is absolutely normal, seem to now look like a disorder.
Yeah.
And that is what he's talking about. So he wants, which I totally agree with, we should not pay more attention to saying, oh, there's mental health, be aware of your mental health. We should be more involved with making sure people understand what it means to be mentally ill. Not really, these are the mental health disorders we have, and these are symptoms that you may have them. No. Understand what level it takes to be ill. So it's just the way you won't diagnose yourself with maybe cancer or asthma simply because maybe you're feeling too tired, asthma because you can't breathe. It's the same way people should not diagnose themselves with depression or OCD or being bipolar, which is very prevalent in our society right now. These are buzzwords you hear over the place. And I feel so sad because I think in these awarenesses that have been happening all over, they've never really explained truly what are they've never explained the situation of people that seriously have these disorders. When you see someone that seriously has OCD, if people that know about OCD really see people that have OCD, that have doctor diagnosed OCD, they won't associate themselves to saying, oh, I have OCD simply because I clean my house, I am neat or something. Or I have depression simply because my boss yelled at me at work and maybe I was overstressed or something. Depression is a really, really serious illness that you don't want to just say, I am depressed simply because maybe I was ill or maybe I lost my job or whatever. And this thing, it's not our fault. We, the people, I think there's this issue coming from this from the health practitioners. I swear I've been asked by my GP over the phone if I was depressed before. Do you understand? It just doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense. It's like asking someone if they have cancer. I told you, I feel tired. I have headache. My leg hurts. Then you just ask me, do you have cancer? I see it the same way. If I tell you, my throat is bad, I can't breathe well, I haven't been sleeping fine, I have headache, and then you ask me, okay, do you smoke? No. Do you do this? No. Are you depressed? It's fine for you to ask me if I've been sad. Have things been going well? Are you happy with your family? Are you happy with your life? Are you sad? These are really better questions. But you asking me if I'm depressed, you should diagnose me of depression, not ask me if I am depressed, which is the problem out there these days. People just say, do you have OCD? No, you can't tell me you have OCD. You have to be diagnosed of OCD.
And the person will say yes.
Yes, these are mental illness. These are serious mental illnesses. Some people will say, there's this really serious one, the really popular one people talk about. Some people will say, this one that he mentioned it, anxiety.
Anxiety.
Yeah, people just say, I have anxiety. I'm so surprised. Simply because maybe you get scared Because maybe you have exams and then everyone gets scared.
Yeah.
You may have anxiety, but you should not just assume you have anxiety disorder simply because maybe work is not going well or something. I totally agree. We need to change what we think about what we teach in our mental awareness programs, because it is really affecting us. Let me tell you how. For normal things that our human body was built to manage, we've been getting medications for those things. Someone is just normally sad and can't sleep, they are already getting sleeping pills. Someone is sad, they are already getting antidepressants. And this medicine, every single pill or every single, drop of medicine you put in your body have a reaction. It makes you do something in a particular way that you probably wouldn't normally do. It's just like randomly waking up and thinking because you're tired and your leg hurts, then you start taking the prescription of someone that has cancer. I see it the same way. And I want us to seriously start thinking about mental illness the way we think about physical illness. Yeah.
That's
yeah,
interesting.
I agree with that, and I think to your point, it ties into the over medicating of society. Like every little thing, people get on some kind of medication or another, which ties to the unethical levels of capitalism that exist in the pharmaceutical industry. Yeah. But that's this conversation for another day. Just wanted to touch on even to your point, like the way people throw around really critical actual illnesses so loosely. Narcissism. Like everybody says, oh, you're a narcissist, or my ex-girlfriend was a narcissist, my ex-girlfriend was a narcissist. Everybody's a narcissist. I have this friend of mine, she's a psychiatric nurse, and she was actually explaining the traits. Like for you to be diagnosed a narcissist clinically, there are about 9 traits, and you need to have at least 5 of them. Everybody has at least one, because you need one to survive. If you don't have one narcissistic trait, you're going to get eaten in life, innit? So you need to have at least one. But for you to be a clinical narcissist, you have to have at least 5. And people that have more than 5, you would know, like, they're actually not nice people. Like an actual narcissist is a terrible person to be around. Like, they leave you with a bad impression. So, but you can't just because you had one negative experience with someone, you diagnose the person a narcissist. Like, it makes no sense.
It's really sad, really. Like, true, it's what's this other word you should remember? There's narcissist, and then there's this other buzzword people tie to people to say maybe you feel dangerous being with them. They can psychopaths. You see normal person on the street and you call them a psychopath. Do you know what it means to be a psychopath? Like, you need to feel positive about people being in real danger to be a psychopath. People out there are labeled psychopath and they can't even hurt you physically. They can't even slap you. Probably what the guy did is maybe do some back talk to get you sacked from work because he doesn't like the way you treat him. And he say, oh, this guy's a psychopath. This. We just keep throwing these things all around, and I don't know, it affects us. We've all have used these words all over the place, but deep down we know, come on. If you really know, I read one small book about it's like psychopath, narcissism, and then one other thing. That's the title of the book. It explains what Chips was just mentioning, that these are the traits that people need to have to satisfy these kind of things. And these are terrible traits. Like, you probably will live and won't come across one single person that truly exhibits these traits. Because when you do come across this person, you can tell, oh my shit, this person is. I think and this might be another segue into another conversation. The issue with this kind of just is slightly away from mental health, but focusing on the narcissism or psychopaths. The reason why we are so heightened to those kind of traits is if you
do meet one of them, like you said, they are very rare in the population distribution. The chance that you actually meet one is quite low. But if you do meet one, it's such a negative experience that our senses are so heightened towards those kind of people, which is why everybody's on the lookout for them. You get what I'm saying? Because if you are unfortunate to actually deal with one, it's kind of like bad luck. Like, damn, I wish that never happened to me. So everybody's on guard. So I think that's probably what I'm probably tying back to the mental awareness, able to physical awareness, because everybody's so scared or apprehensive about the actual negative. Oh, imagine if I do have cancer. Imagine if I do have this thing. That's why they're so preoccupied with the wellness bit that they want to promote it so much and get overoccupied with it, or start treating it frivolously, or not understanding for it to actually get to that level, it takes a lot. So I think it's we're oversensitized to the actual problem
100%,
without taking into the actual distribution of how likely that is, like a risk profile.
Yeah.
If a plane crashes, it's the same way people treat plane crash. Like every time a plane lands, people clap.
Yeah.
But every time you come back from a car ride, you don't clap. But you're actually more likely to die on a car trip than a plane.
Yeah.
And planes are actually one of the safest levels of
even trains. Apparently, trains are really dangerous.
Are more dangerous than flying.
Really dangerous.
But no one claps when the train stops. They get on the same, because we're so heightened we're oversensitized to, if the plane actually does crash, that is fucked.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So. Yeah,
it's mad. Let's hit the nail on the head. I think now we are kind of.
Can I say one more thing just to close it up?
Nice.
I think we need to. I'm not saying people shouldn't take the mental wellness idea of taking care of their mental health.
Yeah.
But we need to take our mind away from mental health disorders. It is just like you need to take your mind away from always thinking you have cancer. If you always think you are ill, you will feel ill. It is how our brain has been wired.
Yeah.
So if you're always thinking you are depressed simply because of some simple or normal things happening in your life, you will probably eventually become depressed. So we have to heighten how positive we think, but most importantly, we need to reduce how negatively we think. Like thinking negatively, oh, I'm depressed, oh, I have OCD, oh, I have this disorder or that. We need to reduce these negative thoughts, or it will actually lead us to truly have these disorders.
Yeah, 100%. And you can see in society that there's a sense of bombardment with all these things. Like even some of the content that the young people watch now, it's all tailored with all these things. I think last year on TikTok, I've actually never really used TikTok regularly, but they said there was a trend on TikTok that about how like young women, they were seeing a lot of like threads about, I can't remember what the disorder was, and then a lot of them started identifying with it after a period of time. But I feel like there's this level of attachment that people feel around all these things right now. Every time they want to say, oh, don't, like, it's a combination of a sense of attachment and also a reason, a cop out. A lot of people use it as a cop out. Oh, don't blame me. I'm narcissistic. Oh, don't blame me. I'm anxious. Those kind of things. And I feel like it's caused by obviously by society, and Chips mentioned the unethical side of capitalism as well. But the next question I have, and to me, to an extent, is even brainwashing, right? If I dare to say, the next question I have is why do you think these high levels of mental health disorders are being thrown at our population in this current generation? And how do you think that they've done it? Is it by maybe, obviously, like I mentioned the TikTok example, but are there other ways you guys have seen that maybe in terms of the types of mass media people could consume that they've used to kind of like promote these topics?
So the why there's a lot of whys.
Yeah.
One will be definitely to make more money off of selling these medical solutions. It's not only big corps. It is also even our direct health practitioners. Like when you think about therapy and the rest of them. Like, of course, perhaps people need therapy and stuff. But I seem to not understand the recent agenda around everyone needs therapy. Do you get? There was a time when it was really out there that everybody need therapy. Do you get? Like, not people need therapy. Yeah, people may need therapy, but trying to put it out there that everyone need therapy, it sounds like an agenda. Like, oh, someone needs some money. Someone wants to make some money.
You must get it.
Yeah. You know, you get the point. So another reason why I think it is really out there is because a lot of these big corps or companies are trying to appeal to the younger generation. The younger generation seem to be really aware of a lot of things. Like, I want to say some things some really young people know about a profession that is not even in their line is probably almost equal to what a professional 50 years ago in that same line used to know. Like, by just watching health TikTok, you probably know more than a doctor in the past. Like, you know what causes this, what are the types of this, than someone who used to be like a proper doctor in the past, you know. So we have so much knowledge about these things, and these big companies, they just want to appeal to us young people. So they are out there trying to create programs to appeal to us, make us feel comfortable working with them. Do you understand? Because they know, they know we know about these things. So it's just a way. I was going to mention this, but it doesn't really tie into our previous conversation. That's why I just kept it. As a leader in a company, as a manager or a team lead or maybe a director, they teach how to help people manage those 3 hormones Chips mentioned. How to help your staff have a balance of these 3 hormones so that they will always feel like staying in the company. This awareness is one of those things you do to help them balance the reason why they want to continue working with you. You know, they always mention, promoting people. It's heightening, giving them bonuses, making sure that they work on projects that have returns, that they will feel, yes, I am being impactful out there. There are a lot of these things, and having this kind of awareness is one of the things they have mentioned to help to keep people. So it's a way of trying to appeal to us.
So to the first point of why there's a huge drive, the capitalistic driver is a big factor, like trying to make money. I always say the pharmaceutical companies are the biggest drug dealers, but I don't go on a tirade with them, at least not yet. So that's the first part. The second part is a lack of accountability in society. So people are passing off. We've adopted this attitude in society where we don't want to take accountabilities for our actions or our situations or things we need to do. So we always pass off that responsibility to something else. So someone will say, I have, like you were mentioning, I have OCD. No, you're just a selfish person. You just didn't want to compromise and agree to do something else with someone else. So people get bogged down with or childhood trauma.
Yeah.
Everybody has childhood trauma. I'm not saying you should not address the childhood trauma, but your childhood trauma was not the reason for what you did. You did. You just did it because that's what I'm saying. You're just a terrible person in that situation. Don't blame this on childhood trauma. So I think that's why there's also another huge push for this mental health, because it's feeding into that lack of accountability culture. But to challenge what Nuhu said, I think it comes down to a conflation of the word therapy, because people always associate therapy with conversational therapy, which is just one form of therapy. Mm-hmm. So I agree, not everyone needs conversational therapy, which that's going to see a therapist. But in itself, therapy is wellness. It's just getting back to your base level of standard. You were off base, whether it was intermittently, maybe you just happen to be sad, or you're permanently off base long term. Maybe you have an actual ailment or a depression or an illness. Therapy is just getting back to that base level, like the same way wellness, like being physically healthy, like getting better. So there are different forms of therapy. There's conversational therapy, there's aromatherapy, there's light therapy. So there's different ways for you to get back to base. So conversational therapy is one. I agree not everybody needs it, but we all need therapy. We all need to have something that we are doing, whichever it is. If it's not conversational, that's fine, but you need to be doing something to actually keep your mental wellness in check. Like you can't. You
don't need to pay anyone. I probably will come and talk to you as for therapy, but I don't want anyone to tell me I need pharmaceutical therapy to pay someone to give me.
I don't like that phrasing of I don't need to pay someone, because it depends on if you need it. If you feel the need to talk to someone because that's your mode of receiving therapy. For some people, they don't really like talking to people. Do you get what I mean? That's not how they get therapy. If you feel the need to talk to someone and you're always talking to people around you and you're saying, well, I have these people around me. I always feel the need to talk to someone. I have these people around me. Let me go keep talking to them. I disagree with that. If your form of therapy is talking to someone, I believe yes, you can talk to people around you, but it's also better to actually pay for it, because the person you're paying for is an actual professional. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, this person knows how to have the conversation with you in order for you to get the best value out of. You're the one that chose conversational therapy. Like I mentioned, not everybody wants that. Even there's some people that are going to do stuff and they don't even still talk to people around them. Like, that's not how they deal with therapy. Maybe they'll rather do something else. You like to talk to people, so why not invest in someone that does it well? Do you get what I'm saying? So me personally, I disagree with that. I would say conversational therapy is your way of getting well. Invest in the best way. The same way as if my way of getting well is, let's say, light therapy. I like being in bright spaces. Like, that's how I feel the most comfortable by myself. Invest in the best forms of that. Invest in a house that has a lot of sunlight, that has a south-facing place. Don't do the barest minimum. Oh, I just bought these cheap lights from Amazon, so that's because there's lights all around. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, if your form of therapy is one way, I think you should put the best that you can to get it. But not everyone has the same form of therapy. So if it doesn't work for you, you don't need to do it. That would be my own take on therapy in itself.
Now, how do you suggest people find that way? That's maybe like that way.
I would say experiment. You can start small. So let's say you started conversational therapy. You tried it. You found out, I really like this. Like, I talked to my brother. Conversation went well. I felt really good about yourself. You can't rely on talking to your brother all the time, because sometimes your brother doesn't have the time to talk to you. He doesn't have the language to talk to you in as well, because he doesn't maybe know a lot about what you're actually talking about. Or he's actually going into his own problems, and he will start bringing his own problems into the conversation, which is not what you wanted. Because the reason you're talking to him is to get rid of your own problems. Dave Chappelle has this joke about why he doesn't smoke weed with black people. Because black people bring their own problems. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm smoking to get rid of my problems, but now you're going to tell me about your own problem. So that's one of the problems with conversational therapy. Like, if you're dealing with someone that's not a professional, because a professional knows they're not going to start telling you their own problems, even though they do have problems. But that's part of they're doing it well, so you do get the best outcome from that. So start small, experiment. If you find out, okay, I tried conversation therapy, it's not my thing. I tried lights, it's not my thing. Try aroma. There's smells. There's touch. There's people that are going to like. This is an extreme form, but I can't remember what it's called. Have you seen Stranger Things?
No, I haven't.
So they use the concept. There's a tank. I can't remember what they call it. But yeah, it's a tank. You basically go in it and you lie in it and it's like salt water. So your body's floating. But the temperature of the water is like room temperature. So it gets to a point where your body's like room temperature, like temperature of the room. So you can't really, it gives a very surreal feeling to your body because you can't really, like the air and the water and every feelings around is all mixed into one, and it's very calming from your mind. So they use that in the show in a way of how she generates her powers. But massages is a form of touch therapy. Do you get what I'm saying? Maybe start with massages. If you find out, oh, I like this, then you can keep investing. But just figure out anything you can do to make yourself feel
massages.
good.
Massages.
God,
I massage on my very close. That's my solution.
That's what he needed.
That's my solution.
Don't let them catch you, man.
Happy ending. Cool.
I totally agree with you. I just don't feel that we have to say it in a way that it looks like we have to always relate therapy to pharmaceutical therapy. So that's just it. We all need some form of way to recover from whatever we go through, just that it's not everyone that needs to do it in the pharmaceutical way.
Cool.